What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Happy Skews Day to you. It's June 6th, 2023. I'm Trey Crowder, and that is not Mark Agee. Mark's fine. He'll be all right. He had a medical thing come up, but it's not an emergency. He just could not make it. So, look, in his place, I know you're thrilled. We're thrilled to welcome back the chief Georgia correspondent, the show himself, Mr. Corey Ryan Forrester. What's up, buddy?
Hello, everyone, and I'm so sorry. Here I am. I'm excited to be here, Trey. Got the call. I'm so happy to be a fixture on this show in a pinch hitting way. That would be the position that I would want if I was a baseball player, and I'm happy to fill that role here on the greatest, the greatest news live streamed podcast hosted by two idiots from Tennessee and Virginia.
Yep.
Number one.
I do think we are number one.
Yep.
Yeah, might be some challengers in the near future, but we holding the belt for now. No, I mean I'm thrilled that you are on deck in that capacity, since me and Mark have to. I think one of the worst, us making this live,
so stupid,
hell of a thing.
I knew as soon as you did it.
It was during the pandemic, and it's like nobody had anything going on. I guess I thought the world would never change back or something. I don't know, but it's like it just introduces so many potential problems that would not otherwise be there. But we're in it now.
I was thinking about that earlier today because I was like, I was getting ready for this. I was doing Well Read. I was doing another podcast, and Amber was like, I just feel like a couple years ago you weren't this stressed. And I was like, here's what happened during the pandemic. We had to start doing stuff to like fill in for the fact that we weren't doing our other jobs. We got good at them, enjoyed doing them. Then we went back to our regular job, but didn't quit doing this.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm so glad that we do because it's fun. I'm glad to be here.
Me too. So I think you've got something for me.
Of course I do.
Yeah.
Every week I try to bring something because I know it's not going to be intellect. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I figure I'll bring a little bit, write something for you guys. And usually with Mark, as I've told you before, I usually come in with questions because I don't know anything. I get my news from here. I didn't do that with you last time because we've talked about the fact that you get all your news from Mark.
Yes.
Right? However, I didn't feel like writing monologue jokes this week, so I did want to ask you a couple questions, but I picked some that I think even you can answer. Trey, are you ready?
I don't know. I guess we'll find out.
Well, Trey, this week all I'm hearing is debt ceiling this and debt ceiling that. Let me ask you, how's our debt gazebo? How's that thing? Huh?
I don't know.
What kind of shape is it in?
I've been in the debt basement before. I can tell you that much. That's not any fun either. I'd rather be on the debt roof than the debt basement, I suppose. Maybe the debt antechamber or a debt smoking room.
You and me both, buddy. You and me both. I'm a big fan of a gazebo. What about you?
I like a gazebo. Do you seem like you'd have a gazebo? Do you have a gazebo?
I do. Yes, I have two gazebos.
Yeah, that checks out. Yeah.
Well, I'm counting mine and my mom's, but I have access to two gazebos.
Buddy mine back home just got a gazebo, and he's pretty excited about it. So,
well, of course,
gazebos make white people happy.
They do. They were big. Yeah. They were big in the South pre-air conditioning because it was a place that you could be in that would keep the bugs away, but the breeze could come in. It's very nice. It's like a front porch, but with protection from the bugs. I'm a fan. Hey, also, Trey, a lot of stuff going on this week in Congress. Biden is fighting Congress about eliminating student debt. But the real question I want to ask is, when is he going to turn truck month into truck year? Huh? You know what I'm saying? Like some things get there's the year of the rat in China. Some things get a whole year. We only get 1 month for trucks. It's racism.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is only fair, though. We got, Pride Month, Black History Month, whatever, and also Truck Month. Although you'll see a little later in the show, the two things are becoming conflated, but we'll get into that later on.
Man, I hadn't heard anything about that at all.
You'll see later on.
Not been on the news at all. Oh, actually, speaking of all of that, Trey, my final question to you here is, with Target backing down and removing their Pride merch, am I ever going to be able to buy a shirt from Bass Pro Shop featuring a deer getting fisted? How far does this thing go? You know what I mean? I thought we were making progress. I thought that one day I'd finally be able to get something like that. It's not looking like it.
I'm assuming that would fisting a deer kill it? Because if it would, I'm kind of surprised, I was going to say it hasn't been done, but I'm sure it's been done somewhere in the hills of West Virginia.
Rule 34, buddy.
But yeah, I figure any way you can kill them, even if it's a little gay, there's some redneck who's going to try it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
It still counts as your bare hands, right?
Yeah. Well, that's all I got for you. I didn't have like a sound effect this week, but that's what I got for you. Those questions, and I think that you did a good answering them.
Well, I got something for you because you are a big golfer and a big golf fan. I feel like probably a lot of our viewers, our skewers, are probably not super into golf, but this is political in nature, so we can talk about it. Tell me what you think about the PGA Tour agreeing to merge with the Saudi Golf League, LIV. Do you pronounce it live or you call it LIV or
Live. That I call it.
okay?
Most people call it live. I don't even know what it stands for.
So let,
Something.
let me let me give you my perspective as an outsider. Like I enjoy golf. I like and I do respect golf, but I'm not like huge into it at all, like you are. I don't keep up with it that much. But I thought this first became a thing like in the last year and a half or so or whatever, and there was this big to do about the morality of
Mhm.
joining live and a lot of golfers took insane amounts of money to go over there and play for them, but the PGA Tour was like there's a lot of grandstanding about like you
So
can't do
much.
that, that's unacceptable, okay, because of what Saudi Arabia does. And so a lot of the stars agreed, Tiger and Rory and them were like, yeah, I can't, that's blood money, I can't do that or whatever. And then now just a few short months, a year or so later, they're straight up merging together to become as one. That seems odd and bullshitty to me, but what do I know? So why don't you tell me about it?
Well, at the end of the day, Trey, money wins. We all know that.
Always,
And I would
especially
like to.
in golf, I'm assuming.
Yeah, for sure. And I would like to take this time to say, if you've ever heard me on my Substack talk about it, if you've ever heard me on any other sports podcast that I frequent, I feel so validated right now. I'm not glad that this happened, but my opinion of the whole thing, the whole time has always been this. Guys, listen, it's absolutely blood money. It is bullshit that they're doing this. However, I don't really want to see a lot of grandstanding by the PGA, who has several tournaments a year in Saudi Arabia. And also, if you think for 1 second that the people from the PGA actually give a shit about any of this, you've lost your mind. That's what I always said. I said, listen, I'm not going to support it, but at the end of the day, I don't know, man. Some of these dudes, some of these guys, man, they were like getting to where I don't even know if they could really compete anymore. And they were like, $150 million. Yeah, I'll go do it. And then
Sure.
you know what I
I
mean? Like, I was
dude,
never
like
mad at individual players, but I
those
respected Rory and Tiger.
well
I respected them.
those guys, Rory and Tiger especially, obviously, they're
Don't
set
need it.
regardless.
Yeah.
But dude, some of those guys who said no, I cannot in good conscience do that, and so
Yeah.
walked away from $200 million or
Yes.
whatever, they have got to be so
Pissed. Jay
fucking pissed
Monahan.
right now because
Jay
like
Monahan.
they threw all that money,
For
they said no to
nothing.
that money for nothing
For
because now the
nothing.
PGA is forcing them into it anyway. So
Right.
like,
And that's the
I
thing,
mean,
though.
dude,
The only thing that I
that's
can say for
rough.
those guys is that they can hang their hat on. I literally do not have a choice right now. Like,
Yeah, right,
because the players didn't even know about this. Every
right.
golfer found out at the exact same time that me and you did. Jay Monahan, who is the operational dude of the PGA, who, by the way, was the most grandstanding son of a bitch the whole time. And I was agreeing with the things that he was saying, but the whole time I was like, dude, I know. I know good and well that when Liv starts taking away all, and what happened was, here's what happened. Here's why it happened. Liv took away a lot of the top brass, and the PGA tournaments that weren't the majors were not as entertaining anymore because some of the best players in the world are over there. So the fields are
Okay, see,
weaker. The fields
okay,
are
because
weaker.
see, I was gonna say again, I don't keep up with it like you, and I when I first saw this, I was like, I didn't realize that Liv had succeeded to the point of being that
No,
much of a
the,
prominent player that they're worth merging with.
the,
Do you know what I mean? Like,
the
because
thing
it's like
is,
it makes them seem like they're on equal footing, and I thought
and they're
PGA
not.
Tour was still very much the top dog.
They
So,
are. They are.
so it's just money
It's a
completely.
completely financial thing. The PGA
Yeah.
Tour, in terms of having the prestige, into like Live was an absolute financial failure. It's just that those dudes don't have a budget. Do you know what I
Right.
mean? They can continue to fail and it's fine. At a certain point, they were literally paying the CW, by the way. They were paying the CW so that they could be played on their app, not even on the fucking TV, on the app because nobody was watching it,
Damn.
right? But these guys have an unlimited bank account. They print money, so they can afford to keep losing it and keep losing it. So at the end of the day, a lot of these, they're going to keep getting the top talent. These PGA Tour events were becoming boring, and all of this was made crystal clear when the majors, the Masters was the first to do this, they stepped aside and said, listen, because the majors aren't technically PGA affiliated. They're just golf. They accept everybody from whatever. They go, listen, we're going to have these guys. And here's why. this is for the best golfers in the world. Like we don't like what they did, but some of these guys they've won at Augusta, and our rule is they get to come back and play. Like that's the rule. We're not changing that right now. And then LIV comes back and has like fucking 5 dudes in the top 10. Phil, the 50-something-year-old, gets really close to winning it. Then Brooks Koepka comes and wins the PGA. Brooks Koepka looks the best out of all this. He took all the money, and he straight up said, and I used to not like him when he first went, but he straight up said, when he got his game back, he said, I will be honest with you. If I knew that I was going to be able to get my game back, because he had a hurt back, a lot of stuff was going on. He goes, I don't think I would have gone. He said, I was facing a point where I didn't know if I could compete with these guys anymore. And I didn't know if I was going to be able to earn that money. So when I saw this money, I thought, my God, man, my kids will be fine. And it doesn't matter if I win. And he said, if I knew I was going to be able to get back to form, I'd have stayed on the PGA. Now he gets to do that. And he got the $150 million and he won the PGA tournament. So here's the deal. Fuck the blood money. Screw the Saudis. They did 9/11. But it's just showing Jay Monahan and the PGA's true colors, where the only thing that they had to offer was grandstanding on morality. Do you know what I mean? They couldn't offer these people any more money. They go, hey, do the right thing. When they didn't even fucking believe it to begin with. That's just the only card they had to play to keep somebody like Rory there. And now, if I'm Rory, I'm going back and going, hey, buddy, I don't know if I'm going to play a full schedule next year unless you make me whole. Because now that y'all are fucking merged, I turned down this shit for you. There's a lot of middle of the road guys that turn down so much life-changing, I don't ever have to work again money, so that we could show our loyalty to this tour who don't give a fuck about America or are as patriotic as they think. So I feel very vindicated because I knew all that shit to begin with. For the drama of golf, I'm super excited. Morally, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, well, I sure did think it was wild from my position of ignorance.
You don't know, like, because from where I'm sitting, someone who's fully immersed in golf media, this is the biggest thing that's ever this is the biggest thing that's ever happened in my sports life. But like somebody said it on Foreplay today, honestly, this is the most shocking news since Kobe died. And if you're in the golf world, it is. I know that sounds stupid to you, but like if you're in the golf world, if you've been following this drama for the better part of 2 years, I can't fucking believe that this happened. This is mind blowing. But yeah, that's how I feel about it. And I'll probably get some shit for that, but that's fine.
It's pretty wild. Speaking of can't believe this happened, that's not really true. I can believe it. Biden and the Republicans did reach an agreement, finally, a compromise on the debt ceiling calamity. Disaster was narrowly averted. I say I can believe it because, like, if it really was going to be as bad as they said it was in terms of the economy, I always figured they would ultimately figure something out because, like you said, money rules all eventually. And it's like they didn't want to, that was something that, other than the looniest of the loons, they generally wanted to avoid on both sides. But Mark wanted me to note a couple of things from his perspective on it. He says that, he says it's good that they avoided the debt ceiling problem, I guess, he says, but they threw a bunch of poor people under the bus to do so, which is frustrating because it was completely avoidable. Mark also wants me to let y'all know that he's planning on getting deeper into this and his thoughts on it on this week's Patreon episode, which we will record later this week. So sign up on Patreon if you want to hear the rest of Smart Mark's ramblings on the subject. But I guess it's got the compromise, it's always who ends up getting fucked the hardest at the end of the day is, of course, the poorest of the poor, because, they're the easiest targets, and also it makes Republicans dick hard to.
Well, and also who's always having to do the compromising every single fucking time. Every time somebody reaches across the aisle, it's a certain political party. I won't say which one, but and you talk about being pragmatic all the time. And I talked about this on there's a podcast I'll be on this Friday. It's called Fake the Nation with Nagin Farsad. And I talked about this today. We were discussing this, and like at a certain point, like because we tend to be pragmatic. It's like, look, man, we don't want the Republicans to get a win, but like they're not budging on this shit. So what if we just do this? We can get a slight win here, whatever the fuck. But at a certain point with things like this, it's almost like, you know what? At a certain point, we got to stop doing that. But then you go, but the world will burn down. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. I mean, and it's a shitty situation either way. That's part of why Mark was so mad about it, is because, like, it didn't have to be this last minute proposition. Like they should have known and did know for a long time that this ultimately would happen this way, that they would cause these problems. But it's like they treated the Democrats, I mean, the Biden administration treated it for a long time as like oh, well, they won't do that. Like
Right.
it'll be fine. They won't hold the economy hostage over something like that. And it's like, of course they would,
Yeah.
now that it came and passed, it's like, how did you ever, doubt that in the first place? But I said the looniest of the loons were the only ones who ultimately opposed it. And they really are pissed off. The crazies, they're really mad at Kevin McCarthy for making this deal. That's how bad they wanted the economy to explode, I guess.
Right.
Is just to own the libs, explode the economy to own the libs. That was their plan, apparently, because, the House Freedom Caucus, your girl.
The House
Marge,
Freedom Caucus? That was a great Freudian slip right there, buddy. It is dead.
Yeah, Gates and Boebert and all them. They're so pissed at Kevin McCarthy right now that they actually reached across the aisle and joined the Democrats in blocking some gas stove bills that the Republicans wanted to pass through. Yeah, you remember that briefly was a thing they were super upset about before they found another car to chase the very next week or whatever.
It's so funny how quickly they do flip through, and I completely forget about what seemed like the biggest deal in the world at the time.
That's kind of the main subject of this episode we're going to get to later on, is exactly that. But anyway, so McCarthy and Republicans had some bills that were going to protect our nation's gas stoves.
Somebody's got to.
Because the Democrats are coming to wrest your stove from your family's hearth, right? So they had these bills to protect gas stoves, and those Republicans I mentioned earlier, Matt Gaetz and them, they actually flipped and voted with the Democrats to block the bill protecting gas stoves. So it's like,
I'll be damned.
Just to piss off McCarthy. It's like, it's just so baldly evident that they don't actually give a fuck about any. Right. Yeah, exactly. Right. It's like, a few months ago you were saying the gas stoves were like, the building block of the American family. It must be protected at all costs or whatever. But now today, you're doing the exact opposite thing just to flip off Kevin McCarthy for working with Joe Biden.
That's the thing with them that's so frustrating, is that they do treat every single thing like that with the absolute same tenacity. You know what I mean? Like, we all know that there's certain bills that, like, listen, you got to take everything serious, but there's certain bills that's like, we could get to this later. This one's not that big of a deal. The debt ceiling's more important. But they really do take the gas stove shit as if it is a direct violation and stepping on the grave of George Washington. It's so funny.
I've always thought when it comes to things like that, it's because they don't have very many things that are legitimately that important that's being done to them. Do you know what I mean? Like they don't have.
They have to do that.
Like with if you're a minority or a trans person or something like that, it's like, I'm upset because they're trying to take all my rights away, or maybe make it legal to kill me in the street or things like that, or kick me out of this country or whatever. But they don't have any. The GOP, they don't have any of that. But they got to be super pissed about something. So gas stoves comes up and they start frothing or whatever, because it's their default state to be fearful, rageful, and confused at all points in time.
It's a great description
for them. Yeah. All right. Well, Mark may not be here, but producer Matt is indeed with us, as always. This is Weekly Skews. Before we continue with the show, I want to remind y'all of a few items of business here. As always, number one, if you'd like to see me perform live, and you should, go to TreyCrowder.com. Check out the upcoming tour dates. Got a bunch of them coming up in the second half of this year, and we're still adding plenty more. And into 2024 as well. So go to TreyCrowder.com, get your tickets, come and see me. It's fun. Number two, speaking of me doing stand-up, my special Damn Boy is now available for free on my YouTube page. So you could just, go on my YouTube, check it out, watch it, have a good time. I hope you'll enjoy it. Number three, if you enjoy this program and would like to show your support, you can do so by signing up on Patreon. $5 a month gets you access to full-length bonus episodes like the one we're going to do later this week, where Mark goes fully in on the debt ceiling situation. Weeklyskews.com/more, or just go on Patreon and search for my name. Either way works. Sign up in there, get some more skews in your life. And also, I just realized a fourth thing real quick, since Joe is here.
That's right.
You should also listen to our podcast, Putting On Airs, wherein we talk about all things fancy people, fancy shit, fancy culture, seen through the eyes of two hillbilly dipshits. No politics at all, but a hell of a good time, and really rather quite silly, wouldn't you
It
say,
is
Joe?
silly and it's fun. And here's the deal: it's all episodic, so you can jump in whenever you want to. But if you're someone who likes to binge podcast, there's already 60 something episodes out. So like, you got a lot. If you're new to it, you got a lot to listen to. It's so much fun. It's one of my favorite things that we do.
It is episodic, but there are running threads and running
that's
narratives because,
yeah.
if you've been there since the beginning, there's been a
That's true.
whole squirrel epic has unfolded with some recent updates coming from my backyard. So,
That's true. Start at the beginning.
Yeah, obviously. But you
Yeah.
can dip in anytime you want to, and you should check it out because it's fun. Okay, as for this show tonight, as we've already alluded to a couple of times, the moral panics are raging out of control, even more so than usual. Appropriate, I guess, since it's Pride Month. People are very pissed off. Rainbows everywhere and anger to boot. So we're going to go through those various moral panics. We will not have time to cover them all and get into just how ridiculous they are a little later. But first, we begin, of course, with the Daily Dumbass. Matt, graphic, please. Tonight's DD, anyone who thinks draining a pool into a server room isn't the perfect crime. Try to follow this, Joe.
And what I am learning and have confirmed is that one of the things prosecutors are inquiring about is that there was a flood at Mar-a-Lago back October. Specifically, one of the men, a maintenance worker who was captured on some of this video surveillance tape, helping to move some of the boxes in and out of that storage room. He drained the pool at Mar-a-Lago in October. And when that happened, it flooded a room, and that room had IT equipment in it that had surveillance footage. And so we don't know, and it's not clear if prosecutors believe that this flood was intentional. It could have been a mistake, but it is one of these things that adds into this constellation of things that just are suspicious to prosecutors, have raised questions. And we do know, too, that prosecutors have received some testimony and some answers about what happened there. And some of the testimony is that the video surveillance system wasn't damaged in this flood. But all of these questions are going back to, did Donald Trump give some sort of direction, or did these people who were working for him, this maintenance worker and another man who was captured on tape moving boxes, Walt Nada, his body man, were they taking steps to inquire about the surveillance footage or want to sort of screw up what the Justice Department was able to get as they were seeking evidence?
Yeah. Okay. So
got to give it to him. That's pretty good.
Yeah. Mar-a-Lago. Yeah. Right. The old drain the pool water into the computer room trick. That old.
Oh, is that where the drain went? God
yeah.
damn,
Right.
man.
Yeah. Exactly. Hey,
Shit,
boss,
man.
you did tell me to drain all that water into the computer room, right?
Yeah, right.
Okay. I'm just making sure. Seems like a weird place to put a pool's worth of water, but
that's what you want.
That's what you want to do. Also, I don't look. I'm resort dumb.
Me too.
I'm engineering dumb. I'm all those kinds of dumb. But like, it seems like it would. Like, how do you drain a pool into a computer room? Like by accident,
on purpose.
Yeah, like, you're right. Yeah, like. Yeah. It seems like there's some faulty planning or something going on there, unless, of course, they meant to do it. It's also for the investigators show up and he's like, "You have surveillance, right?" And it's like, "Yeah, but
you're
never going to believe this." Yeah, underwater, all of it.
It's so comical.
What are you going to do?
It's so extremely comical and on the nose, and is not fooling anyone that doesn't desperately want to be fooled. You know what I mean? Like,
right. But the thing is, dude, he'll probably just get away with that.
Of course he will.
Know what I mean?
Like,
at the end of the day, they're just going to be like, well, we don't have any footage.
I've tried so hard recently to whenever something like this happens, I always try to think, okay, what if the politician from my party or the party that I vote for, what if this happened to them? How would I react? Because that's the way that I should be reacting to this too. And like, there's been a lot of times when I can't give examples, but Trump will have done something. And I'm like, yeah, I could see what all of our defenses to Biden would be on that one. You know what I mean? But I do believe in myself, knowing that if the shoe was on the other foot, I would be like, Biden did that shit. You know what I mean? Like, I just have to believe that I would.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of like, we don't often get the opportunity to prove something like that because
it doesn't happen that much.
Generally speaking, yeah, right. They're the Democrats in office are not just overt criminals and scumbags of that order. Not that I mean, I'm sure plenty of them do a lot of criminal shit, but at the very least, they're smarter about
they're
it.
Slicker
I guess,
about it.
We don't.
And that's
we don't find out about it. But yeah, if we
Right.
did, I feel generally speaking that most people on the left would be like, yeah, that ain't it.
Well, here's how you know that we don't.
That.
Here's how you know we don't do it as much, because they have to say things such as, I'm telling you, they crack open baby skulls and drink their adrenochrome. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, we don't have to make none of that shit up. We just go look at.
It's like another version of what I was saying earlier about how they don't have very many things to genuinely be outraged about. So they have to make things up or blow things out of proportion. Yeah. Same thing there. Like, there's not a lot for them to actually latch onto. So they just make up crazy shit. Speaking of his classified documents, though, apparently there's at least one classified document that it seems hasn't been found but should exist. So it's maybe still missing, because there's an interview with Trump from 2021 where he references, he talks at length about this classified document he has, right? And it's a document that has to do with a war plan for invading Iran, right? Now the thing is, the shady type CIA or whoever, the military, like, they probably got war plans for invading everybody.
Of course, that you gotta have one.
Venezuela, you name it, right? So it doesn't mean all that much that it just exists in the first place. But Mark noted in the outline, that type of document is something that, say, for example, Saudi Arabia might be interested in purchasing or whatever. Also, they did happen to send $2 billion to his, son-in-law at a certain
he
point
loves
in time.
golf.
Not saying anything, just connecting some dots there. But in this, so Trump's key defense, and this is so Trumpy to me, but like, his key defense with all this classified document stuff is they're not actually classified, because he, as president, could declassify them just by thinking about it in his brain. That's his legal defense for this whole thing, right? It's just like, no, well, I'm, if I just think it'd be better if that was declassified. Boom, now it's declassified.
That
right?
reminds me
of course, is not true. There are, actual processes for declassifying something, but he makes his own rules. What are you going to say? Reminds you of what? Declaring bankruptcy?
Yes, it reminds me of Michael Scott going, I declare bankruptcy!
Right. Yes. But so with that in mind, in this interview from 2021 where he talks about this classified document he says something effective, I would show it to you, but I can't because it's classified. I wish I would have declassified it, but I didn't, or something like that. So it's like, it indicates that he was aware that there was a way to declassify documents, and it wasn't just thinking that's declassified now, right? So it seems to imply that he did know that, but
I'm so
again,
jealous.
How much of it will ever matter? Who knows? We'll see.
You ever just get jealous as shit of people from other countries who get to enjoy all of this without having to live through it? Like, I want to laugh at this motherfucker so bad, but then I start to, and I'm like, oh, this really affects our lives. And like somebody from Australia, I mean, it's still, listen, if America does some wild shit, it affects the whole world, but you get what I'm saying.
That's what I was about to say. Maybe it was me and Mark on a recent episode that somebody on something I was on recently, we were talking about that and about how, like, I do kind of agree with you, but at the same time, it's like, we got all these tanks and nukes and shit and hold the world's economy by the balls in a lot of ways and stuff. And it's like, we're extremely powerful as a country still somehow. And so I would think it's got to be pretty disconcerting. Like, I used to always wonder, like, why do these other countries keep up with us and care? Because I was like, Belgium, we don't know what the fuck Belgium's doing. We barely even know Belgium exists. Do they have a king? I don't know. Probably. Like, who gives a fuck? That's how Americans are. But the rest of the world, a lot of them kind of pay attention to us. But like,
because we might fuck some shit up.
Recent years have sort of shown me, like, okay, actually, I guess I kind of get
Yeah,
it. I
totally.
probably would do that too.
Yeah, but I
because-
mean, I'm just saying, like, I don't think Australia is in jeopardy of Trump nuking them. You know what I mean? I feel like they're a pretty
Right.
safe country to be like, all right, it's just entertainment, isn't it?
Well, but the other thing though about that is like Australia, I think is a good example because I know they've had some of this. Like we now, maybe we always did, but now especially we like export that brand of stupidity
Oh, good.
to the rest of the world. Do you know what I mean? So it's like,
Yeah.
so if you're watching in Australia and we start doing some crazy shit, you got to be thinking we're going to have some of that crazy shit soon. Not on the same level, but like during COVID and stuff, they had all kinds of
Right.
big, crazy,
They
those
are
lockdown
the
protests and
rednecks,
shit. The
Yeah.
rednecks of the Western world
which hits
outside
for
of
me.
America. Yeah,
Love
right.
you, Australia.
Yeah. All right. Our first honorable mention for Daily Dumbass is anybody who doesn't think Trump is scribbling Don Hart's Ron on all of his trapper keepers. You're going to love this, I think. Hit it, Matt.
Every time Ron DeSantis blinks, Trump has a statement at Truth Social. We are way past dude code violations, frankly into homoerotic territory for one guy to be stalking another man and his actions this much. You just cannot be hetero unless you're a sociopath. You cannot be hetero and be this obsessed, all right, with another man.
Is there a
in his
special
machinations? You just can't do it.
Is there a
okay?
special
All right, that's
dispensation
good,
during
Matt.
practice?
That's so funny. He's either a sociopath or a queer. I can't decide.
Yeah.
God damn.
So apparently because Donald Trump talks shit about Ron DeSantis, he's gay for him.
Then he been gay.
Well, it's like I was about to say, then he's gay for everyone who's ever worked for him or said a word about him because that's what he's done. That's what he do.
And he
Is
shit
talk
on women
mad shit
too.
about everybody. Yeah, right. All the time.
If anything, he's bi.
He's gay for women too.
Yeah, dude.
But yeah, I don't know. Look, full disclosure, I have no idea who that dude is. Don't know his deal.
He was wearing a Masters shirt, which checks out.
I guess he's team DeSantis, evidently. But like they wild, man. They wild. Like the fact that some of them have pivoted so hard to now they're calling Trump gay, but like still not enough of them.
No.
Like
No, but I mean, it does, like, again, I know that this would hit, so there's no way it could happen, but like you keep hearing stuff like this and you look, you just keep thinking the possibility of a split ticket is like even more so than it could have ever been. You know what I mean? Like, some of this, it's like the whole deal is disconcerting, but these individual things make you go like, I don't know, man, they might fuck each other over.
Right. And look, I'm well, actually, there's a little bit more on this, so I'll wait until then to say this. But first, so we're to the guy, the Florida governor is running against Trump. How do you say his name?
Ron DeSantis.
Me too. Apparently, there's some debate from the man himself on how to say his name, and it seems to be unclear. I guess for a long time he went by DeSantis, but then he like changed the pronunciation
pecan
to DeSantis.
Right.
But he's gone back and forth on it. And there's some reports that the change of D to DeSantis is a strategic effort to sound more like
duh.
Yeah, right. Well, this is America. Got to appeal to the base. So, Ron DeSantis. DeSantis. But yeah, to appeal to like red-blooded Americans, there's no like European flair to DeSantis. But apparently, the real spaghetti way to say it would be DeSantis. DeSantis,
yeah, right.
Ron DeSantis, right?
Right.
So he's
but you can't do that.
He's basically selling out, his own kind by changing how it's pronounced. This guy's a real Uncle Tom tomato sauce. Am I right? So, yeah, that is that's a
man.
That's a Mark joke. He wrote that in here. I'll give him credit for it. Sure, he wanted me to say it anyway. If you want to have it settled once and for all, that's not going to happen. But here's the man himself talking about it.
I've got a long last name, European name, Steinhauser. There's been some confusion over your last name and the pronunciation, and I'm just wondering, to correct the record, what is it?
No, that's ridiculous, these stupid things. Listen, the way to pronounce my last name, Winner.
What a piece of shit.
Yeah.
I mean, what a piece of shit. Listen, the correct response would be like, I don't care how you pronounce it as long as you click on it on the ballot box, baby. Skew, finger guns, moonwalk out of there.
He's really outed himself as not having the sort of
Trump,
the
the Trump stuff?
charisma, nothing
Yeah.
even close to Trump's level. And
No.
it's like, look, dude, Donald Trump drives me fucking insane, but there's no
He would have
denying that in
murdered that.
terms of the people that, like his people, I mean, he gets them going, dude.
Buddy,
like he's definitely got something that appeals to the dumbest and worst of us. And like DeSantis is going for those same people, and he just ain't got it, man. Like he's just like a dorky tool, you know? Like he's not, I don't know.
No, he don't hit.
got
I
it.
don't like the content of what Trump be saying, but like the man's good for a soundbite. You know what I mean?
Okay. On that note, let's watch 2 more videos, starting with DeSantis. This is another example of, you know, him and his orating best right here. Count the wokes in this 20-second
Then I
video.
recognize that the woke mind virus represents a war on the truth, so we will wage a war on the woke. We will fight the woke in education. We will fight the woke in the corporations. We will fight the woke in the halls of Congress. We will never, ever surrender to the woke mob. We will make woke ideology, leave it to the dustbin of history. It's gone.
So
I got 7.
yeah, there were 7. Now let's see Trump's response to that, Matt. Go ahead and pull that up. I know that's a quick back-to-back, so I'll just sort of keep rambling while you do it. But you said, you know, good for a soundbite, whatever. Here's what Trump thinks about all that.
It's gone sick. And I don't like the term woke because I hear woke. You know, it's like just a term that half the people can't even define it. They don't know what it is. It's gone sick. And I don't,
How about it's like that there's a famous Onion
famous
Onion headline. It's like, terrible news, the worst person you know just made a really good point, you know, or whatever. And it's like
he does that sometimes.
He does. It's like, that's what, and this is what I almost said earlier, but I wanted to get to this point before I brought it up. And it's like, listen, preface this by saying I cannot stress enough how much Donald Trump does not hit for me, and I do not want, like, he was an existential crisis as a president, and if he gets in there again, Lord God, we're also fucked, and I do not want to see that happen. But when he's aimed specifically at Ron DeSantis, right?
Oh yeah,
like he been spitting something like like when it's just those two, just 2 people you both hate going at it, and one of them just getting their ass whipped in the extent that DeSantis is, in the entertaining fashion that Trump is, you know, good for in that way. It's like, I mean, I'm kind of here for it. I'm not, and we're just now getting started too, dude. Dude. Man, when they get to the debates and shit, my God,
Trump's a fourth quarter team. You know what I mean? Like he really, dude. Obviously this is a joke, but I was telling you in the thread the other day, I was like, dude, listen, if Trump keeps going at DeSantis like this, and all of the dipshits from where I live turn into huge DeSantis fans instead, I almost feel like walking around the grocery store in a goddamn red MAGA hat. You know what I mean? Because like, just to fucking piss everybody off. But like, yeah, I mean, dude, like you said, like, again, at the end of the day, it's dangerous. At the end of the day, I wish it wasn't happening. But if you only care about quality sound bites and television, this about to be some shit, boy.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess we'll see what happens. But with that said, let's talk about it. Yeah, this is the first, especially since we were off last week, which was still May. Anyway, it's the first Skews of Pride Month. Happy Pride Month to all of our LGBTQ people skewers out there and allies and whatnot. Hope you're having a good one. Not everybody is, but real fired up. They really kicked their bullshit into overdrive since Pride Month started, which we all, you know, could have seen coming, I'm sure. But we were talking earlier about how quickly they go from one thing to the next. It's becoming impossible to even keep up with all the things that they have, you know, canceled or are attempting to cancel. You know, the fuck your feelings crowd got a serious hard on for being triggered, and, you know, and cancel culture, it would seem. And they're really fired up about it now. We saw, of course, the big ones, Bud Light, Target, everybody knows about that, Miller Lite to a lesser extent, but the list goes on and on and on, including one very unlikely target in Chick-fil-A.
Oh my God.
Yeah, listen here.
So I'm grieving. It's lunchtime. I'm here with Aubrey, and we really wanted some Chick-fil-A, but because they decided to hire a diversity, equity, and inclusion corporate position, and also bow down to the woke lords because of their ESG scores, and also I found out, do you know this? Their chicken is funded by BlackRock and Vanguard. Are you kidding? Yeah, their farms. They use Tyson and this other farm. BlackRock and Vanguard funded chicken. Chick-fil-A, you are no longer the Lord's chicken. You're actually the woke chicken, and I'm really upset upset about it as a Christian woman. All we wanted was some good fried chicken. So now we're going to go to Cane's. We're going to try it out.
Once again,
You are no
I am
longer
vindicated, baby.
Yeah.
I'm vindicated.
You are no longer the Lord's chicken.
You're the Lord's chicken.
Morgan Thusly.
And Aubrey. Don't forget Aubrey.
Don't forget Aubrey. I thought all chicken was the Lord's chicken, you know.
I agree.
My
And
mama
by the way,
my mama cat's chicken. Now that was the Lord's chicken.
I now know that our side's better. And here's why. Because when the shoe was fucking reversed, there was a bunch of fucking liberals that were sneaking into Chick-fil-A just going, listen, I don't know what to tell you, but they're here and they're the best quality. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying I feel bad. I feel good about it. I used to have a bit where I talked about every time I went to Chick-fil-A, I would then go donate $6.99 to an LGBTQ charity just to cancel out what I had done. But this is some absolute fucking bitch shit from the crowd that is just constantly like, oh, why do you got to get bothered by everything? Oh, just let it go. So great.
So again, the reason why is because they just found out that Chick-fil-A has a VP of DEI, okay, diversity, equity, inclusion. For one thing, that guy has been in that job since at least 2021, right? So he's been there for 2 years. They just found out about it. Now they're pissed off. But also, it's so wild to me, like openly saying, like, she didn't even say DEI. She spelled it out. She's like, we're pissed because they have a diversity, equity, and inclusion position in their corporate structure or whatever. It's just wild to me sitting there saying with a straight face, like, I am infuriated to the point of boycotting this restaurant because they favor diversity. Equity, and inclusion.
Yeah.
It's literally just different types of people are allowed to work there. They think they should be treated fairly.
Yep.
And that they should be welcomed equally as all types of people. And that is completely untenable to me. That's a wild thing to say out loud and in public, in my opinion. Because it's like, you're just
100%.
That's just saying, like,
we don't want different people.
Racism hits for me, you know, segregation. That was what's up. We need to go back to that. Like that's basically what you're saying. And they just do it with a straight face. It doesn't bother them at all.
And by the way, once again, I must say to any of those people on Aubrey's side that might just have stumbled past this link, what Aubrey and Morgan are actually getting mad at, I know this is going to sound crazy to you, it's capitalism. It's capitalism. It's fucking capitalism. Chick-fil-A only did that because after fucking years probably of polling and market research, they determined that for their bottom line, this would be in their best interest. Capitalism, capitalism, capitalism. If you want to worship it all the fucking way, baby.
So with DEI position specifically, you're still right. I think the larger factor with that is that is so if and when they get sued for some kind of discrimination thing or something like that, that's a thing they can point to. You know what I mean? They can say no, look, we have measures built into our corporate structure to ensure that that type of thing is not tolerated at Chick-fil-A, right? It's like they're watching their own back and protecting their nut. You know, it is all about money at the end of the day. And when they when it comes to, they're paying. Why do they shove this stuff down our throats? Why do they have to pander to yada, yada, whatever? It's like, they're just trying to reach various demographics because they're a fucking business. You know what I mean? It's like, if you see,
if you're not growing, you're losing.
Right. So when beer commercials do the titty ads, which, great. Love them. Hallmark of my childhood, the titty ads. Right? But it's like, they were coming for a specific demographic, right?
Right.
They got that demographic pretty well locked down. Now it's time to target other demographics. That's just how business works, but they just lose their minds and also shoving it down their throats. It's like, this isn't targeted at you. It's not even for you. Like, they don't even want you to see it, right? Like, it's not being shoved down your throat. They're not even making it for you. It's to appeal to other types of people but you. You're going out of your way to find it and be mad at it. Like, you're shoving it down your own throat. You like choking on the big dick of progress, apparently, because it, then makes you throw up, which hits for you. I don't know how my metaphor's doing there, but you know what I'm saying.
Crushing me. And the cognitive dissonance too, about the narrative on their side of always saying things like, oh, transsexuals and gay people and black people, they just want a handout and they don't actually want to work and blah, blah, blah. Oh, wait a minute. They're trying to get jobs at places. Boo. I don't want that. You know what I'm saying? Like, they just can't, they talk out of both sides of their mouth because, as you said, the dick of capitalism is directly in the middle of their mouth.
Yeah. So it's not just Chick-fil-A. Mark, we're going to skip the Laura and Grimm thing because I feel like we kind of just talked about a lot of what we do there. Sorry, Matt, my bad.
Oh, okay.
Producer Matt, we're going to skip that one. Here's what I mentioned earlier. We talked about Truck Month, Pride Month. I said they're becoming conflated. Check this out. Let's watch it. This is look what Ford's up to. That's right. Not just Chick-fil-A. They're coming for Ford too now.
This was the most disturbing video I've seen to date. You want to attack the American male, heterosexual male? This is how you do it.
Matt, mute that, please.
I don't see the problem right now. Or I thought the trucks were about to butt fuck each other.
We should have started a little. I know, yeah. Or the guys get out at the end of the race and then butt fuck each other and celebrate. Yeah. I was thinking that too. You'll get it and just. Sorry, Matt. I told you to mute it because that song plays for a long time, and you know what that'll lead to some bullshit with YouTube. So you don't need the sound for it. Here it comes. They go through the puddles. One of them's red. Look at this. Boom. Okay. That is one queer truck right there. I mean, in fairness, that's a pretty gay truck. That's
it don't hit, but not for the reasons they think.
It's a very gay Raptor. And they are pissed about it. Once again, that truck is old. They rolled that out, I think, again in 2021, like at least a couple years ago. The troglodytes have just found out about it. They're pissed off. And like I was just saying a minute ago, Ford already has got the dipshits buying trucks. They want the gays to buy trucks too.
And they're not going to stop making a red one. They're not going to stop making a red one. If they fucking if they came out and said you can only get rainbow trucks, even I would be like, fuck that. This is bullshit. But they're not.
No, they're not. And Mark, I got to say, so Mark, you know, he put together an outline for us as he does every week, and he notes in here, but I gotta kind of call him on this one. He notes in here, he says, Jeff Gordon drove in NASCAR with a DuPont rainbow paint job, right? And I'm like, well, yeah, but he also got called a queer for 15 years. Dude, everybody, I barely even watched NASCAR, and I knew that. Like, fucking everybody knew that.
I implore everyone to look up the song "Jeff Gordon's Gay" by Tim Wilson. It's absolutely fantastic. But yeah, dude, yeah, right. Like, that's 100%. He was called the Rainbow Warrior, and it wasn't because that hit for them.
Right. Yeah, and it also really pissed him off that he whipped everybody's ass so much, too. Yeah. That's the other thing. Like, he was actually
the whole song's about.
He was my grandpa's favorite race car driver when he was in there. And he said, because he just wins, son.
He wins.
You know? And he did. But anyway, so, all right, now they're boycotting Ford. Okay. But again, and it's just a matter of time before they find these ads or something, I guess. But among the car companies who have spoken up in recent years in support of gay rights or the LGBT community or Pride Month or whatever are BMW, Jaguar, Land Rover, General Motors, Nissan, Volkswagen, and pretty much all of the rest of them. So like if you're going to boycott car makers for being down with the gays, you probably need to start walking. Because and it's what I said.
Not Nikes though.
I've said this before too about in one of the videos I made about this, and it's like I want to make another video about all this shit, but it's like I've already made like 4 because they keep doing this. You know what I mean? And in one of those videos, I said something like, you know, what are they going to have left? Like they're restricting all of their own freedom, their own freedom to enjoy various things. Because before long, dude, they're just going to be like sitting in a dark room listening to fucking Stranglehold and Lee Greenwood on repeat, you know, trying to get psyched up to watch the new Kevin Sorbo movie, right? Barefoot, drinking their own piss or whatever. Like there's not going to be anything. You're taking all of their own hits away.
I know. So dumb.
What? Like it, I just don't. And but yeah, and it's like the projection. What's that? There's an internet phrase that gets repeated a lot. The GOP stands for gaslight, obstruct, project.
Yeah,
right?
there you go.
And that's pretty damn accurate. But their capacity for projection, dude, just knows no bounds. Because a few years ago, we were the snowflakes. They're wearing shirts that say "fuck your feelings." Go fuck yourself, snowflakes. Triggered much, that type of thing. And dude, when's the last time? Maybe I'm forgetting. When is the last time that like liberals tried to cancel something or something like that actually happened and was a big story? Was it Dave Chappelle? Because again, those specials were hugely popular. You got paid $20 million a piece for them. Nobody got canceled, but there's a little bit of hubbub over that. That was like what, a couple years ago? I mean,
recently it's Pepe Le Pew, but here's the deal. They took, I think Max had the rights to Warner Brothers, and they've taken a couple Pepe Le Pew cartoons off because it's pretty violent. He is very rapey.
Yeah.
But like,
matter of fact, but weirdly, Dave Chappelle had a bit about that exact thing.
He sure did.
Yeah.
But like, the thing is like,
sometimes you gotta take the pussy like Pepe. I said, no.
But like the thing about it is when here's the difference. Whenever they say the liberals are trying to cancel something, it's just a couple people got upset about a thing and pointed something out, and then everyone else goes, oh, that is true. That is wild. They didn't fucking do anything other than that. Whereas like Matt Walsh is literally leading a coalition and getting people to subscribe to his newsletter so that nobody drinks Bud Light and nobody goes to Target, and is talking about how like literally said the other day, he's like, we can't get them all, but we can hyper focus on one and run them out of business and shit like that. Like nobody ever fucking does. I mean, I don't see that happen on our side, or we're just not as organized.
Right. But this, Mark points out in here, and I agree with him, that this actually isn't a recent phenomenon, though. They kind of have always been this way to a certain extent. Like it's been pointed out before. I know Mark Maron's talked about it a lot. Comedy historian Cliff Nesteroff has talked about it a lot. Like cancel culture, especially in the comedy world specifically, has kind of always existed, and it's always come mostly from their side. It's always been moral panic. Like Lenny Bruce.
It's better now than it ever was.
Lenny Bruce got sent to fucking jail multiple times. People were trying to cancel him, and it was because, he was talking about pregnancy or whatever.
Right.
Like saying cuss words and shit.
Went to jail.
Right. And but they like, and that was, Christians and shit who were mad about the things he was talking about. It wasn't fit or proper for people to talk about that type of thing back then. When jazz music became a thing, the Christian right types, even though Christian right wasn't a thing at that point in time, but those people existed. The Puritans out there thought jazz music was an avenue for black men to, get it in with white ladies. You know what I mean?
Which I mean, it was, but that's not a bad thing.
Yeah, right.
But there's nothing wrong with that.
And, gay marriage, right? Their whole thing with gay marriage was it was going to destroy the sanctity of regular marriage and lead to people marrying their dogs and shit like that. Ellen, when she came out in the 90s, dude, that wasn't that long ago. That was a huge fucking thing, right? Like they've kind of always been this way. And me and you were talking earlier in the Well Read podcast, which we recorded earlier today. We talked about it a little bit of like, I think it's that they've started to run out of things that it's okay for them to be openly hateful towards in public or whatever, which is hard for them to deal with. And I feel like they feel like their backs are against the wall and like they're lashing out in response to it. Cause they, with gay marriage getting passed and everything, it seems like at a certain point, I feel like there were a few years where they had kind of let this go in terms of the gay thing. It's like they're always like, oh, well, that's like the N word. I guess we can't say that. It hit while we had it, but now it's over, I guess. And then the next thing was trans people, and then trans people, that whole thing got conflated with the gay movement, and now homophobia is back again. Not that it ever left, but they're firing it back up to like 10 years ago levels or whatever, because I guess they're just worried about.
They got that new gay out. You know what I mean?
They come out with that new gay and it don't hit for them.
So it's like you were saying, like they're just inventing shit because they have to. And it's I've said this before, but it's fucking fascism 101. Create a problem that doesn't exist, solve it, look like the hero, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat.
So Mark put together a list of companies that are currently facing boycotts right now. Okay. we got Build-A-Bear, Target, Maybelline, Ultra Beauty, Hershey, Innocent, North Face, Halifax, Tampax, Kohl's, Starbucks, Nike, Coca-Cola, McDonald's, Burger King, Oatly, which that one's funny to me. It's like
Oakley, like the glasses?
No, Oatly, like the oat milk.
Yeah.
It's like, well, they know we ain't gonna drink that oat milk anymore. It's like, motherfucker, you wouldn't drink an oat milk to begin with. Oat milk's been queer. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
like,
and it hits.
Continuing, I like oat milk. Continuing, Cadbury cream eggs, Adidas, Hallmark, Flora, Toy Story franchise, Doritos, Cottonelle. Wiping your ass is woke now, I get, because Cottonelle made a 15
How long you do it, you know?
Yeah, don't enjoy it. Britney Spears, they're mad at her. PetSmart, because PetSmart made a lizard shirt with a rainbow on it.
Like rainbow lizards are rainbows sometimes.
Primark, Walgreens, Disney, the Lego Batman movie, PayPal, Allstate, Wells Fargo, the Chicago White Sox, JP Morgan, apparently.
What?
Firefox, the web company, because the CEO of Firefox came out as being against gay marriage, and then the board complained about it and disciplined him for it. So it's like they're trying to put one of their own out of business because he works with other people. You know, I don't know. Just try to make it make sense. The Mail, trying to cancel the Mail.
But the Mail hits.
Mail does hit. We've always said it. But yeah, they're trying to cancel the Mail because they made Harvey Milk stamps.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. Home Depot, IKEA, and Walmart, and also Lego. Lego specifically because some adults built some gay shit with Legos, but Lego didn't do it. But just because Lego makes all the colors and they can be arranged in a gay fashion, that means Lego's got to go, apparently. Like, I don't even fucking know. And Mark notes in here, I want to make sure I read this to you. He says, even if you ban the Lego, you know, the gay stuff, you will never be able to stop teenagers and Corey from doing things like this. Matt, put that.
You goddamn right, baby. You goddamn right. I've been talking about wanting to get into Legos now that I have a kid. I'm so excited.
It's awesome. That's one of the best.
Because I loved it as a kid.
The thing I'll tell you about it is, like, before you know it, you will have more Legos. And, you know, first they're like,
good.
You fill up a whole goddamn drawer. They all get pulled apart. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they're all mixed together. It becomes impossible to fucking, but I mean, they rule. We was a big Lego family.
When you hear all this, when you hear it put one after one after one after one after another on that list, is there not a part of you that gets some sort of sense of kind of relief when you're just like, dude, there's no way they can do this. You know what I mean? Like, it's so ridiculous that spend all your fucking time doing that shit. We'll go win the election. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
That's how I feel.
Yeah. And, cause I just don't think, I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't say that. I feel like most people, other than like the papawiest of the papaws out there, like, also think that most of this is silly, right? Like, they're like,
of course,
like people like people my age from Salina who are not like progressive necessarily at all, still like this type of thing. It's like, tell me I got to turn my Ford in?
Get the fuck out of here.
I just don't think most people are down with it.
No, I think that most people, and some of these most people probably also don't, not most of them, but some of these most people don't necessarily agree with the gay lifestyle or whatever you want to call it. But I think that most of them are like, I work fucking 10 hours a day. I ain't got time for this shit. All right? I don't care. Y'all fix the fucking debt ceiling. Give me my fucking job back. I do that. It's just that that's not interesting to put on news. You know what I'm saying? But I don't think most people care. There's so many people, especially on my wife's side of the family.
It's also because like the right wing media, like they're in the pocket of the people who are fucking regular people over. Do you know what I mean? Like their boss is fucking Rupert Murdoch. You know what I'm saying? Like they're not gonna push the message. You're being fucked over by rich people. They're not ever gonna do that, even though that is the case. And that's the type of shit that most people should be worried about instead of, you know, Mr. Potato Head's dick and all this other stuff.
Agreed.
All right. Well, that's we made it once again.
We did.
Always a pleasure. Thanks for joining us. But what do you got that you want to tell people about?
Oh, well, as always, please listen to Putting on Airs with me and Trey. It's my favorite thing that I do all week. I really look forward to it. It's so much fun. And also, as you know, if you want more stuff from me, you can go to parttimefunnyman.com. That is my Substack. That is where I do bonus podcasts. I write essays. It's just a whole lot of fun, silly stuff. You can subscribe for $5 a month. I would really appreciate that. But if you can't afford it, I'd still do all the other stuff for free. So you can just sign up for whatever. But if you can afford it, I really would appreciate that. It's a lot of fun. Parttimefunnyman.com.
Hell yeah. Lastly, for me, try to make it quick. TreyCrowder.com for tickets to the shows. Also, there should be a link to my special on the top of the website. So just go to TreyCrowder.com for one shop stopping. And you go to weeklyskews.com/more or go on Patreon, look us up, and get some bonus episodes like the one we're going to do later this week. $5 a month, you get a whole archive of bonus skews we've already done and 2 new ones a month. So we hope you'll think about it. And we thank you for joining us. And we'll be back next Tuesday. So you love you. Bye.